Welcome. It's Domain Dave again, as always. And we're going to talk about another wine we always do. We write up value price wine on the cheapwinefinder.com website 3 times a week, and then we plug in the microphone, and well, that's where we're at right now. And I have a wine that I found at Aldi for $11.99 in January. Where was it in December, November? I don't know. That's where it should have been. What I have is the specially selected Cremant de Bordeaux Brut Rosé. It's a non-vintage sparkling wine, a bubbly from Bordeaux. Cremant, there are 8 official Cremant areas in France, and that is sparkling wine made in the traditional style, which is the same way champagne, second fermentation in the bottle, each and every bottle. But it ain't champagne. Champagne is copyrighted, and that's their own place. Even though champagne technically is a Cremant, it's not here. And this is from Bordeaux, and there's like 8 different Cremants in France, Jura, and Bordeaux and Bourgogne, and I don't know the other 5 off the top of my head. But the thing about it is, Aldi had at least 55 of these specially selected wines in Europe. And they had wines from each of the Cremant areas. And I have 2 Aldis near me. One had 3 different wines of the 55, and the other one had 5 or 6. I mean, where were they in January? They show up, where were they in December? They show up in January. And this is something kind of interesting. The rules for it's an AOP, which is the top level other than cru. There's different levels of AOP, but it's the top designation in Bordeaux, or in France anyway. This is an AOP wine, and it has kind of the same rules for grapes that distill wines do. And because there's only like 5 or 6 approved red grapes in Bordeaux, and this is made with red grapes, at least according to decanter it is. It's 60% Merlot and 40% Cabernet Franc, which I think this is the first time that I've ever tasted a bubbly made out of a Merlot Cabernet Franc. Most of the time, those aren't the grapes they use, but they use it here. And there's 500 different wineries that are in this area for the Cremant region, though I don't know if all 500 make bubbly, but I'm going to take a sip of this one. It's really unique, and in a good way. The first thing when I nosed it, I got licorice, and there was also like a Australian black licorice, if you have that candy, though not sweet. This is brewed as a dry wine. Yeah, it's got licorice, it's got black cherry, it's got herbs, it's got a little creaminess to it, maybe some tart cranberry, maybe dried blueberries. Yeah, it's got a really interesting flavor. It's a subtle wine. None of the flavors jump out. And it's flavors that you don't always put together with a sparkling wine, especially a French sparkling wine. I'm going to take another sip because it is unique. The acidity is really good. There's plenty of bubbles, not bubblies. The color is kind of a muted Barbie doll pink. So it's kind of a pretty wine. $11.99 is not a bad price for this, for an AOP wine out of Bordeaux. And these Cremants are where the bargains are in France. You're not going to get too many bargain champagnes, but you can get some pretty nice Cremants, which are made exactly the same way. Maybe not to the same specifications. I think these have to be in triage, second fermentation for 9 months to a year, where it's a year and a half for champagne. But that doesn't really always make that much difference. And plus, the individual producers can keep it in the bottle longer if they so choose. If they think the wine needs it, then it is. I did some sleuthing, and this is from the same company that does, it seems to be from the same company, JP Chenet wines, which are bargain wines that are everywhere. I mean, so if you're looking, it's like, household French wine. And most French wines are everyday wines. People drink them with their meal, with brunch, and with dinner. So having an everyday wine from France is actually very French of you. I'll take another sip. It's got that kind of beguiling thing about it. I don't know if it's delicious, but it makes me want to drink it. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's got it. Yeah, it sure is interesting. This should have been here in January. I mean, because at the price, you can get 8 or 9 for like $100 if you're throwing a party. And 8 or 9 bottles of Bubbly will last you a little bit on a New Year's Eve or a Christmas Eve, or whatever. But it didn't show up. And where the other 55 of these wines are, because so far everyone I had are pretty good. I mean, Aldi tends to have good wines, not great though. Their champagne didn't show up this year either, and that's usually a highlight of every year for me. But no Aldi champagne in my store. Don't know what's going on with them, but I'm glad the specialty wine did. Aldi specially selected Cremant de Bordeaux Brut Rosé, blend of Merlot and Cabernet Franc. Interesting, good, tasty, and if you find it, buy it. It's fun to drink. So that's it for me, Domain Dave, cheapwinefighter.com. Like us where you like your website. Push all the buttons you can. It helps us a lot. I appreciate it. And we've got organic Malbec coming up. And adios, keep it cheap. And I'll be talking to you. Bye-bye.